Hello, people. Thank you for joining me. This video is an act of goodwill. The video is an act of free will as well. In this video, I shall be briefly addressing some frequently asked questions about the TRCN registration, and then everything will be based on experience. Now, here's a disclaimer. I have no link with TRCN. They don't know me. I don't know them. I'm just a concerned individual, and I have recorded this video to address several questions that emanated from my last post from my audience, about the TRCN, their fears and their challenge. So I will use this video once and for all to address all these things. So I have collected some frequently asked questions, and I shall be addressing that shortly. Now, the first one says, why do I really need the TRCN credential? As an educator, the full meaning of TRCN is Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Okay, so I believe it's an avenue for the government to be able to take a statistics of qualified and recognized teachers in the nation. It is also an avenue for the government to be able to make projections. It is an avenue for the teacher for government to be able to know, okay, in the sector they should be able to take stock. Let me use that way. If there's anything that exists that way, they should be able to forecast, budget. So it is an avenue for the government to be able to really face the industry squarely. The personnel in the industry, particularly the teachers in the industry, is an avenue for the government to be able to take inventory. Okay, so if we are talking about registered, qualified, and licensed teacher in Nigeria today, will you be counted? Yes, many are in the classroom today, even without the educational degree, even without the education, the postgraduate diploma in education, they are in the classroom today. Okay, and it is not ideal. You can't just, it is especially this type of profession that we are, where we deal with lives. Okay, so we need an avenue for us to really regularize all the irregularities, and I think that is what the government is working towards. And aside from that, we've started seeing adverts here and there where the employer will say having the TRCN credential will be an added advantage. Today, you can't work with the government, or you can't work with the government or a public school without education credential, and in a way or two, if not now but futures to come, the TRC might start being a requirement. Okay, the TRC might start being a requirement. So in a way, for us as educators, is like preparing for the unknown. We never can tell, because there are a lot of uncertainties that are going on in the nations today, before you know it, the education sector might be the next target, and we never can know or can tell how the cheaters will be sifted out from the industry. So like I said, I have no link with TRCN, but I think it's a good move, and it's a way to regularize the education sector. And it's just like you have the other professionals like the accountants, the bankers, the marketers. You also have their professional forum. They have their registration councils as well. So if something like this is coming up in the education sector, I think it is something that deserves a round of applause directed to the government. So that being said, also as a school, I think it's high time for school owners to start imploring their teachers to get this credential, because there is a lot of approvals that the school must get, and one of it is the approval of the right personnel in your school. Imagine a school of staff strength of maybe 10, and you run a basic, you run a primary school, you run a secondary school, you run the primary school, and out of your staff strength, there is none that is qualified and licensed to be in the classroom. A time will come that you start pushing for approval. A time will come that you start pushing for approval, and before you know it, in the approval phase, there is a stage where teachers verification, credential verification will come up. And that is why you see a lot of schools running letter skater. When it gets to that point, a lot of malpractice, a lot of corruption going on, even at that stage where personnel from quality assurance will visit your school, and they ask you that, okay, where are your teachers? What is their credential? What is their qualification? And you see different school owners running here and there to go and rent certificates. These are part of the corruption that we have in the industry, and I think this would be one of the reasons why the government is trying to find a solution to it. So the credential TRCN is both beneficial for an individual educator, teacher, and it's also beneficial to the school as well. So very soon we start seeing TRCN as a major criteria for any employment into any government approved school. Yes, if your school is still developing, there may not be any need for you to emphasize on that. But once you gain government approval and you can write external examination, then you should start working towards ensuring that majority of your staff, majority of your teachers are licensed to be in the classroom. How about going into the hospital without having a licensed doctor? Will you be able to open up your body for such a doctor to treat? So I think that is what the government is trying to regularize. I'm not speaking for anybody. I don't know them. They don't know me. But out of common sense, I believe that we are getting to that phase where regularization will be what gradually adopted in the sector. So the second question says, how can I get certified by TRCN? To get certified, to get licensed, in other words, you need to start by applying to write a PQE. A PQE means, according to the TRCN dictionary, a PQE means professional qualifying exam. Professional qualifying exam. So you need to write this exam and you need to pass. Once you write this exam and you are successful, then you can apply for your license and for your registration. Okay. Now, according to the TRCN, I think there are about 4 cadre. We have the D cadre, we have the C cadre, we have the A cadre, B cadre, and we have the A cadre. Okay. I think the A is for the PhD and above. Then the B is for masters, and the C is for B.Sc and B.Tech and other bachelor degrees. Then we have the D, that is for NCE and that category. Okay, and that is why some people said I passed. They wrote C, I passed. They wrote D. See, TRCN does not give grade score. What they do is either you pass or you fail. And failing means you can rewrite as many times until you succeed. Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm speaking from personal experience. I too am one of the first batch, first set of applicants. It was in my setup they started the CBT, so I'm still going to talk about that. So to get certified, to get licensed for the TRCN, you need to first write their professional qualifying exam. In the dictionary of TRCN, they call it PQE. Okay, so that answers the second question. Then the third one says, how do I register for TRCN? How do I register for TRCN? Registration is direct and simple. For you to register, you need to locate any close offices of TRCN in your area, in your state. Okay, just locate one. Get there, tell them that you want to write the PQE exam, you want to register for the PQE exam. The major direction they will give you is you head to the bank, pay a sum of 3,500 naira. I don't think that amount has changed after several years now. I don't think that amount has changed. You pay the sum of 3,500 naira to the bank. Then you take the slip of payment back to the office for manual registration. So the process is always, you go to remitter.org, you generate a transaction ID, a transaction code of 3,500 naira, and I think the bank charges is 157 naira if it has not changed. Yes, and I don't think it has changed. I don't think there has been any change in the money yet. Okay, so 3,500 naira plus 157 naira will settle your registration for the exam. Okay, once you generate your RRR number of 3,500 naira, you copy the code, you head to any commercial bank, tell them that you want to pay for TRCN. Okay, they will ask you that if you have generated an RRR for the transaction. Yes, you should say yes. Okay, if you have done that. If you have not, I think you are going to be delayed at the bank. To make your work seamless, you need to have generated the RRR number of 3,500 naira before heading to the bank. Okay, so once you get to the bank, you give it to the teller. The teller will make the transaction for you. After paying the 3,500 naira, you are going to add extra charges to it of 157 naira. Then there will be a payment slip, a teller will be generated for that transaction. It is that teller that you take back to the registration point, that office where you made the inquiry, that okay, you made the payment. They will ask you for evidence of payment. You show them the teller, and after showing them the teller, they will give you a form you have to fill manually. That form should not take you more than 10 minutes to 15 minutes to fill. Everything is about your biodata, your academic qualification, and every other necessary information. Just normal just get to know you. Okay, so it should not take you more than 10 to 15 minutes to do that. Now, this is one hint. Before going to fill the form manual, before processing to write the exam, after making payment, ensure that you go back to the office with all your files, your folder, because you are going to need 2 passport photographs, you are going to need your credentials, your certificates, and you are going to need your state of origin certificate. You are going to need your marriage certificate if you are a lady. Okay, now importantly, to register for the TRCN, you must have an education credential, maybe B.Ed or MEd. So that is until then you are qualified to write the exam. But let's assume that you read a course outside education. Okay, that means you will need to first and foremost go and do your postgraduate diploma in education if you are a B.Sc holder or B.Ed, okay, or any other non-related educational degrees. Okay, you need to go and do a postgraduate diploma in education to qualify to write the TRCN PQE. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified. Okay, so please, let's take note of that. So once you are going for the registration to write the exam, go with your folder, because you are also going to make some photocopies in order for you to scale through. So after making your payment, taking your teller to the office as evidence of payment, after filling the form manually, your number will be collected. Particularly your WhatsApp number will be collected, because all of you that will be writing the next diet will be added into a WhatsApp group. And I think the essence of the WhatsApp group is for correspondence, so that the officials will be able to follow up on you and update you on any necessary information with respect to the coming exam. Okay, so ensure that you supply a number that is WhatsApp enabled. If you don't have a WhatsApp phone, maybe you have your spouse, or just ensure that you're able to give them a number that they can use to reach you on WhatsApp, because that number will be added to a group. All of you belong to a group, and that is how they'll be following up on you, feed you up with information with respect to your exam. So I think that address the how do I register for TRC. Then the fourth question says, how can I get certified by TRCN? So after writing the PQE and you are successful, okay, now the WhatsApp group that has been created for the purpose of correspondence, the result will be posted there. The result of successful candidate will be posted there. Your name, and I think your name and your grade. If your name is maybe Samuel Abiodun, then if you are a B.Sc holder, you will see C crossed with your name. If you are B.Tech or B.Eng, you see if you are a degree holder plus your postgraduate diploma, you are going to see C. And I think like that. The NCE, you are going to see D. That doesn't mean that's your grade score. That is just your category. Okay, so don't be like in our own time. Some people were bitter. How would I score D? How would I score C? That C, that D, that A and B are not your grade. They are just your group. Okay, you are in group A, you are in group B, you are in group C, or you are in group D. You can be in any of these group. Okay, so after successfully passing the PQE exam, you are now going to, and you have seen that you've succeeded. Now the page where your name appears on that result, the page, we are going to print that page out, because that will be the evidence you are going to take back to the TRCN office where you did your registration, to show them that you've succeeded with the exam. So once you're able to do that, that means that you can now apply for your registration certificate and your license. Remember, you cannot apply for registration certificate and license until you pass the professional qualifying exam. So you take the evidence that you've passed to the center where you register, and they are going to ask you for evidence that you passed. Once you show it to them, they will now ask you to go and pay for the license and the certificate. The same process of payment, you are going to generate an RRR number for both the license and certificate separately. The license is 3,000 naira plus bank charges. The certificate is 6,000 naira plus bank charges. So you are going to generate separate RRR number for these two documents. The license is the normal paper. The certificate is the normal paper certificates that we are all used to, but the license is like a card, like your driver's license card. Okay, that is how these documents are. So you are going to go to bank, make the payment of 3,000 naira for the license separately with its own RRR number at the bank. You generate a teller for that. Then you also pay 6,000 naira for the certificate with its own RRR number and generate a teller. So you are going to take the two tellers back to TRCN office to show them that you've made payment. After that, they are going to tell you that, okay, you'll be contacted. Now, the waiting period varies. In our own time, it was a bit delayed, but I think TRCN are waking up to the responsibility because of the surge of people applying for this credential. So I believe it's faster now, but then nobody can actually tell how long it will take for certificate and license to be processed and to be ready. I think they are all done at the headquarters in Abuja. I don't know, but in our own time, that was what we were told, and I think that is the real truth. Okay, so we are, after paying 3,000 for license, 6,000 for certificates, since you still belong to the WhatsApp group, so your own is to go back home and wait till you receive a text message, because once the certificate and license is ready, you are supposed to receive a text message that your certificate is ready, come for collection. Certificate is always ready first before the license. So once the certificate is ready, you receive a text message to come for collection, and after like a month or few weeks, they are going to also text you again to come for your license at different intervals. Okay, so it takes longer time for license to be ready than the certificate. So I think that addresses that. And somebody said, if I want to prepare for the exam, do I have any simulations, any materials to read? See, I don't think the past questions we see flying around is official from TRCN. Okay, they are just simulations. They are simulations, but they are good for you to have access to this material so that you can use it to brush up, because the PQE examination cuts across education curriculum, the education psychology, education sociology, physiology, and so all those lodges. Okay, so you have to, if you have access to these materials flying around as past questions, TRCN past questions, if you have access to it, good for you. It helped me my own time, and it helped a lot of us. So they are good as simulations, but mind you, don't go and cram all those questions, because you may not see any of these questions because they are not directly from TRCN. People like you and I just went to their material, bring up possible questions and collate it. They are collations. They are not directly past questions, because the PQE exam is a computer-based exam. So you have to familiarize yourself with the use of the computer. You are going to sit before your own computer. Okay, in the day of exam, the ideal situation is always tensed. You see the officials shouting here and there, trying to coordinate things. I believe that is their own way of managing the crowd and the influx. Okay, so in that day of exam as well, because of the limited amount of computer, every man with his own computer, because of the limited amount of the computer, you see them grouping people in batch A will go in, batch B will C will go in, like that, in order for them to manage the limited amount of available computer. Okay, and the questions are direct questions as well. If you have read education, or you have done your postgraduate diploma in education and you have your material, you can just brush through. Okay, you can just brush through. And if you have those simulation past questions that are flying around, you can also use them as a reading guide. Direct questions like conversion from grams to kilogram, some fractions question, and some political questions, and some, just direct questions. Okay, so you don't need to be afraid of that. And I think lastly, what is the certificate and license collection process? I've just explained that in this same video. So I believe you have learned something. If there's any other thing that I forgot to mention in this short clip, and use the comment section below. Let's continue the conversation. Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, I have no link with TRCN. I don't know them, they don't know me. I did this out of free will because of several questions that emanated from my last post on registration for TRCN. If there's any area you still have fears or you are not clear about, kindly use the comment section below. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.